Hello and welcome to Merrimack High School for tonight's contest between the Panthers of Nashua South and your Merrimack Tomahawks. The NHIA and its member schools thank you for coming to support your team today. High school sports are an extension of the classroom learning experience. The student athletes in front of you have worked hard in the classroom and practiced to be able to play here today. As we encourage them to demonstrate good sportsmanship, we would also like to ask you, our fans, help us make this event a meaningful one for our athletes by showing respect for your team, the opposing team, the coaches, and the officials. We thank you in advance for positive sportsmanship that you will display. Please be reminded that for the safety of the players, coaches, and officials, all spectators are not permitted on the field before, during, or after the game. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Tonight's referee is John Jescola. Umpire is Steve Coburn. Head linesman is Mitch Mastro Matteo. Line judge James Joseph. And back judge Nathan Peck. At this time, I would ask that you all please rise for the playing of our national anthem.
Well, good evening and welcome to tonight's high school varsity football matchup between the Merrimack Tomahawks and the Nashua South Purple Panthers. My name is Justin Slez and I'm the Assistant Media Services Coordinator for Merrimack TV. I'll be running replays, checking the live stream, and also soliciting some shout outs tonight. So if you want to shout out your favorite player or really anyone in particular, head on over to our Facebook page at Merrimack TV and leave a comment under the post about tonight's game. Down at Student Memorial Field is our media assistant, Grace LeMay, running the camera. And I am joined in studio by Andy Berkeley and Rob DeFelice, who will be calling the game for you this evening. But before I send it over to them, I just want to quickly thank Pete Johnson and our friends over at Nashua ETV for taking our broadcast and sending it over to their channel over in Nashua. So thank you, Pete and friends. And without further ado, I'm going to send it over to the gentlemen in the studio here, Andy and Rob. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing very well, Justin. Thanks for having us.
Always happy to be here in the studio calling some Merrimack football.
Great. What do you think about tonight's game?
It's gonna be a matchup. I mean, we say that every week, Rob, when we get in the booth and we're hanging out or in the studio, I should say, instead of the booth. And you know, tonight it should be very interesting. You've got a powerhouse in South coming in. Really, we talked about it, off air. You know, just what they've been able to do, revamping their program, coming out of the gate this year, playoff hopes for the first time in a long time for them. You know, and what Coach Knight has been able to do to turn around that program and really inject some life and some energy. And the Tomahawks coming off a heartbreaking defeat last week. You know, they were able to put together an incredible second half. and hopefully they can bring that momentum. You know, I had a chance to talk to Nathan Sadia before the game, and we were talking about identity, and it was really cool to see Merrimack absolutely, you know, come out with a little bit of an identity on both sides of the ball. See if they can translate, bring that forward against a great matchup tonight.
Yeah, and it's funny you talk about identity because looking at this South team, they're a 6-0 powerhouse, only have really had one game that was close, their first game that went to overtime against BG. Their offense has put up points on points on points, but
Incredible.
where I see their identity come to life is their defense. Their ability to make other offenses uncomfortable, keep their offense on the field, in control of the ball, and game after game you see them form that rhythm that they start to force turnovers, get things going on offense, make a stop, get things going on offense. So it's the way that both the offense and defense come together to just put up points after points after points. It's their identity this season in the turnaround that you've seen in such a short period of time. We're going to talk about it a lot tonight, but going from an 0-6 start last season to a 6-0 start now this season is a night and day. And you don't see that very often from a program to have such a flip.
A flip, and you made a mention. Turnovers have been South's bread and butter on defense. They have been able to force turnovers, really make other offenses bend to their will. So we're in for a great game. I'm excited to see what the Tomahawks can do tonight.
Absolutely, and of course the Tomahawks offense is nothing to be taken lightly either.
Looks like Egan on the return. Probably brought the ball back about 6 or 7 yards.
I just brought it up a moment ago, but the Tomahawks offense, although their record reflects only 2 wins, right? Their quarterback, their commander behind center, Sahil Mujwar, is the second leading passer in Division I football. He's passed for over 1,000 yards so far this season. Very smart with the ball in his hands and is able to make plays. And so while we talk about this South defense, it's interesting to see them now face a challenge in someone like the Tomahawks offense that is able to move the ball and put things together.
And we saw we saw that result last week. Sahil not able to get away, gobbled up in the backfield.
And South's defense already applying that pressure, able to get through on the edge. And that's what we're talking about with their defense, making offenses uncomfortable from the get-go. Also important to note that the Tomahawks missing one of their starting offensive linemen due to injuries tonight. That would be Vitri, who is out.
Sahil back to pass. And the pass looks like it was almost picked off.
Very, very close to a costly interception to start this game. Receivers in the area, the South defender unable to get his arms underneath it to complete the pass.
That was Colvin Levesque almost able to pick the ball off. On that first play, it was Karuru.
3rd and 15.
Kararu, excuse me. Apologize for the pronunciations. Sahil back to pass, scrambled out of the pocket. Able to dump it out in the flat to Gorman. Look at Gabe just churning those feet. Oh, that was DP Trantonio. I apologize.
And that is what you call grit right there. Getting caught up, getting stood up.
Taken down by Tripp for about a 5-yard gain.
Yards before he's able to be brought down. Keep the feet moving. Unable to get the first down, but still pick up some decent yardage after contact.
Tomahawks forced to punt, 4th and 6. Ooh, barely able to get that punt off. And the Panthers will start from their 41.
A short punt here, and we've seen in previous games how much special teams can come into play in these games. It's an underrated side of the game, but it does make such an impact, and you'll see in situations like this now that South's offense, which has been very dominant, being able to take over on the 40-yard line is very good positioning for them to start their first drive.
Short field.
Short field indeed, and again, talking about that rhythm, forcing a 3-and-out to start, now get their offense to work on the field.
Jackson with a keeper. able to break through. Oh, he's not going to get touched. Cody Jackson able to make it all the way to pay dirt.
And we're going to be calling Cody Jackson's name a lot tonight, but it is worth mentioning how much of a talent, how much of a bright spot he's been in this offense this season. He's a junior, so he's still young. He still has a lot of time left in this program, but has already thrown for 750-plus yards this season and has really been a dominant force in this offense.
I believe he's 6th in the state, right?
Absolutely.
Looks like Nashua's going to go for 2. Handoff.
Emmons on the
Kyle
two-point
Emmons
conversion.
on the 2-point conversion.
South showing a wildcat formation on that 2-point play. Let's take another look at this touchdown here. It's just a simple read option. The defensive end bites down, and Cody Jackson able to be patient, find his space, and break a lane, and it's just wide open greens from there, able to take it to the house to get the first points on the board.
I'll tell you, Kyle Emmons had a beautiful block. He sealed that lane for Jackson to break free, and it was a great heads-up play by that running back to be able to spring his quarterback out to pay dirt.
And now here we are, less than 2 minutes into the game, talking about the Tomahawks needing to prevent South from finding their rhythm. Go 3 and out, give up a touchdown on the first play. That momentum has certainly shifted in the Panthers' direction.
Caden Dine on the return. Brought down right about the 34-yard line. So the Tomahawks will start with decent field position, not hemmed too far back in their zone. Let's see if they can find a rhythm, establish something.
Absolutely. And for me, the biggest storyline talking about this game, South and Merrimack are two teams that know each other very, very well. On top of this, Coach Jackson used to be on Coach Knight's staff for 9 years before leaving to take the head coaching job at Merrimack. So these are two coaches that have known each other for decades, have coached together, and are very, very familiar with each other. And Coach Jackson even said they still talk every week, including this week.
Sahil out of the shotgun. Not able to find a receiver. And gobbled up. Loss of about 3 on the play.
And that Tomahawks offensive line is going to need to find a rhythm if they want to get this offense moving. It starts and ends in the trenches, and right now that offensive line is not given the protection that Sahil needs to get the ball moving.
Kararu on the tackle again. Might be calling his name a lot. Inside handoff. There's Gorman. Looks like he picked up about 5 on that play. It'll bring up 3rd and 6 for the Tomahawks.
And expect to see a lot of that run game from the Tomahawks tonight. They've shown a lot of pass, even though they still claim to be a run-first offense. But when this offense shines is when they can establish the run game early.
It sets you up for so much down the road. Sahil out of the gun. Getting pushed out of the pocket. Able to dump the ball out towards the sideline. And it looks like it was caught.
Looks like they're still going to be short.
Stephen Doyle on the reception. Gain of about a yard or so. Bring up 4th and 4. Tomahawks on to punt again. Another 3 and out. Much better punt. And the ball will be down right around the 27-yard line.
And Merrimack turns the ball back over to Nashua on that 20.
And I mentioned it earlier, the Tomahawks without one of their starting linemen on both sides of the ball, Brett Vitry. Coach Jackson mentioned last night that he is unfortunately out of this game due to injury. And we're already starting to see the effects of when you're missing one of those key pieces on the inside. He plays offensive guard, and we've seen that pressure coming from South right up the middle. And so
yes.
There's always that mentality of next guy up, right, and having that depth. But right now we're seeing that offense struggle, and it's coming from that offensive protection.
Jackson out of the gun. Looks to keep. Passes out on the flat. And he's still going. Emmons. One man to beat. Touchdown, Purple Panthers. Caden Dine was trying to.
Emmons for another national
Was the last man
touchdown.
standing for the Tomahawks, and Joshua Tripp with a great block.
Joshua Tripp coming out of nowhere as if he's a defender running the play down, coming out to become a lead blocker. That is just great effort from their wide receiver.
And Emmons showing great patience too. He saw that he had a man to beat. Dine was pushing him one direction, and then Tripp comes out of nowhere. Preston Boys on for the point after attempt, and the kick is no good. Sailed a little to the right, left, excuse me.
Boys on
My
the
other
kick.
right.
No good.
And we see this screen pass again, just a simple read option again, has the bubble outside that he throws to. And some great running here by Edmond, and then you see Tripp come
just
out of nowhere to make the block on Dine. Tremendous effort there by Tripp. Now, if you're the Tomahawks, you got to have a conversation with your team. You give up 2 scores in 2 plays.
2 plays.
No first downs yet on offense. It's easy to get rattled and it's easy to start hanging your head, but there is still so much football left to play here. So as a coaching staff, bringing your team in saying, hey, shake it off. Let's move on. You can't take it back. And as we always say when my playing days was 0-0.
0-0. You have to go back to that short memory and try to slow the game down. Dine on the return. Able to weave his way. Ball comes out. Oh, my goodness. Not sure which direction this is going to go. That ball popped up. And South able to recover the football.
Dine on the return. Looks like it
Wow.
was punched out at the 35-yard line.
Not
He's gonna
what
turn
you
it back
wanted
over
to
Nashua.
see.
First and 10
And it
Nashua.
looked like there were some Tomahawks jumping on the ball there. However, at the bottom of those piles, it's always about who comes up with the ball, not who first jumps on
the
it,
ball.
Right, we'll see it again here. It's just a simple punch out. And
that's
what
the
was looking like a good return as well, being patient, finding some space, and just a nice, clean punch out. And everyone's trying to get hands on the ball, and it is the Panthers that come up with it. And again, special teams being a huge factor in so many of these games for the Tomahawks.
Oh! Jackson's pass intended for Fish and almost picked off by Doyle.
Looks like it was just out of the
Ball
reach
intended
of
for
Fish.
Fish.
Tries to get a hand on it and actually tips it up in the direction of Doyle.
Second and
But
10
Doyle
Nashua.
unable to react quick enough to be able to come down with it. That is something that is practiced frequently. We call it tip drill.
Absolutely. Colvin Levesque was the intended receiver on that pass. Fortunately, Jackson put that into the turf,
Intended
so
for Lavasquez.
bring up 3rd and 10.
Incomplete. 3rd and 10 Nashua.
And that is something you're going to see a lot from this Panthers offense, the diversity of weapons that they have.
Jackson lobbing that up. Oh, nice reception. Levesque. And interesting to watch Jackson's release. He's almost throwing that thing sidearm.
And that's one of the things you see from Jackson in watching his previous
Ball caught by
games.
Velasquez.
Tremendous quarterback in great decision making and able to put the ball where it needs to be. But the talent of his receivers to find open space and come down with the ball is what has made this offense so effective, as well as their ability to gain yards after the catch and continue to keep the plays alive.
Jackson on the keeper. He passed it out on the flat.
Short hop to Fish.
We saw that play go for a touchdown earlier. It's that same read option. Jackson has a
Picked up about
couple of
5
things that he
yards.
can do with the ball. He can
5
hand it
Nashua.
off, he can hold on to it himself, or he can find that screen out on the bubble That time, not able to pick up much yardage, but that is a lot of that offense's identity.
Jackson on the keeper. Looks like he's going to be brought down just shy of the goal line. And then again, it's almost like a RPO where he has the ability to dish the
Jackson
ball.
The carry, stop by side,
right?
yeah.
Even then, if you see on that replay, he still had Fish coming out on the outside. So if he wanted to hold on to that ball, tuck it and run, or he has the option to pitch it out like we saw a couple weeks ago.
And that is another touchdown for South. Tomahawks putting up a bit of a stand, but not able to keep them out once again. Sadia coming off the field having some issues with his chin strap. And this touchdown here was just a quick quarterback sneak as the Eagles don the phrase the tush push.
The tush push, yes.
Able to get Jackson into the end zone for another score for the Panthers here in the first quarter.
Preston Boys on for the point after attempt. This one is good.
Boys on the kick is good.
And now for the Tomahawks with their offense expectingly coming back out on the field. You never know what can happen on these special teams plays, but now is the time where they need to put points on the board to keep things alive in this game. They have to be able to respond and keep South out of that rhythm.
Tonight's game is being
They have to. They have to establish some kind of momentum, string together some kind of a play, at least get a first down or two to get some rhythm, get some confidence underneath them, and then allow that to momentum to carry them forward.
And we've seen the Tomahawk show before that they are able to come back when behind, but the question is how far behind can you be before it's too late?
Right.
It's early still in this game, but some points need to be had to start to shift the momentum.
Short kick. Egan on the return, able to find some room, muscles his way to about the 40-yard line before he's met by a sea of white jerseys.
Egan on the return, stopped by Case. The first and 10 Merrimack.
And one of the keys Coach Jackson mentioned to this game was their ability to control the tempo. South's offense loves to run that fast pace, that no-huddle offense. The Tomahawks do as well. However, Coach Jackson said that the difference is the Tomahawks like to do it when they want to.
Right.
And so they have the ability to control that tempo, and when they want to speed it up, they can. When they want to slow it down, they can. And that can make such a difference when keeping that defense on their heels. And that's what you would think you would start to see now from this offense.
DP Trantonio with the ball carry. Looks like he lost a yard on that play.
And once again, this South defensive line, very dominant up front, getting lots of penetration off the snap. Quick officials timeout. Looks like there was a mouth guard on the grounds.
Sehil out of the gun, getting some pressure. Pass up the middle. Oh, and it's picked off.
That was in and out of the hands of Ozog. Tough pass to come down with, but it does fall out of his hands. And the Panthers just right place, right time, falls into the breadbasket and able to come down with the interception.
Pass was just a little high for Josh. I couldn't tell who came down with that ball.
But once again, the South defense quick to get the Tomahawks offense off the field and get them back to work. Looks like it may have been Gus Smiley on the interception.
Jackson's pass over the middle. And Levesque is still on his feet. Able to get some yards after the catch.
Vasquez on the carry. Stopped by.
And this is a very
Vacuda.
impressive South offense. You see them not letting up, keeping their foot
First
on the
down,
gas,
Nashua.
and so effective in moving the ball. This time, just a quick slant route to Levesque, who again is able to take it for extra yardage.
Jackson scrambles, gets it out to Edmonds on the flat.
Caught by Evans. Stopped by Ozark.
Ozog there to make the tackle. Looks like it's going to be 2nd and 5.
2nd and 5, Nashua.
Jackson back to pass, looking deep. Oh! And he gets gobbled up. That's going to bring some confidence.
And that was Nicholas Franqui on the sack, assisted by a couple of his teammates, but he's the first to get through. And plays like that can start to, as you said, give your defense some confidence
Jackson
to keep
stopped by
pushing and
Frankie.
to keep
Push the ball back.
their heads up on the field when they're trailing by
Absolutely.
so
Most
much.
definitely. Looks like Levesque on the ball carrier. He's brought down immediately.
Vasquez on the carry. Stopped by P.
And this will be the first 4th down for the Panthers. Looks like the offense is staying on the field.
It's going to be 4th and a long 12. And we have a flag.
Now it's going to be a 4th and 17. It looks like it was a false start on the offensive line.
False start against Nashua. Then back him up.
Wait to see here if the offense still stays out there. Coach Knight weighing his options. And he will keep them out there. Jackson giving the call to his offense.
Pass out on the flat. That was Tripp on the reception.
And just another
on the
bubble
carry, stop by
screen, giving the receivers the opportunity to find some open space. But this time, the Tomahawks able
Send
to
the
make
ball
a
back over to Merrimack.
well-needed stop and force a turnover on
The
downs.
1st and 10 Merrimack from their 40-yard line.
Tomahawks had a couple of great plays to start that last drive, and can they maintain that? Can they bring that back? You know, very unfortunate. Sahil's pass just a little out of the reach of Ozog. Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Ball intended
Looks like
for
that one was
Ozog, kicked
intended
off on
for
the way.
Ozog.
The 2nd and 10 Merrimack.
Ozog, such an effective player on both sides of the ball. Offensively last week, 13 catches for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's the kind of player that you want to get the ball in his hands.
Egan in motion. Trying to break the corner. Able to pick up about 3 on that play. Maybe 4.
Egan on the carry. Stopped by.
It's going to bring up
Steven.
another 3rd down, which the Tomahawks have yet to be able to convert on, as the South defense has been so effective.
3rd and 6 Merrimack.
And you see they're typically only sending about a 3-man rush. Occasionally they'll blitz a linebacker either up the middle on the edge, but for the most part it's been their front 3 that
Looks
have
like
gotten.
Yep, they're bringing someone up the middle. Sahil back to pass. Oh, Egan, the intended receiver. A little high and a little
Pass
hot.
intended for Egan incomplete.
And once again, the Tomahawks offense stalls out.
The 4th and 6.
We're
for
seeing
Merrimack.
some signs of life, some ability to move the ball on 1st and 2nd down, but unable to pick up any 1st downs yet. They seem to stall out after a good 1st or 2nd play, and then the South's defense responds very effectively.
Well, I'm reminded of a stat you brought forth early on about their 3rd downs, and at the beginning of the season, they're able to their ability to convert on 3rd down was phenomenal. I think it was something like 60, 70 something percent,
by
and
Page.
every
Down to the
game since
26-yard
then, it
line.
seems
The
like
1st and 10
it's
for
come
Nashua.
down, it's come down, it's come down. And you know, converting on third down is your bread and butter. You definitely want to have at least, you know, 1 or 2 plays, you know, your first or second down to be able to get 4, 5, 6 yards, and then carve out 1 or 2 and then make it manageable. 3rd and 6 that's one of those iffy downs. I mean, that's a lot of distance to cover.
Yeah, and let's not forget how effective the South's defense is, giving up only 60 points so far this season.
In 6 games.
In 6 games.
Jackson, very patient, had a lot of protection, able to get it to Fish.
Pass to Fish, stopped by Ozark.
Looks like he picked up about 6 yards on that play. Be 2nd and 4. Line of scrimmage about the Panthers' 32. Fish in motion. Jackson passes out to Fish on the flat. Oh, Ozog able to get him tangled up on his feet.
Fish, stopped again by Ozark.
And that's some textbook block shedding from Ozog as well. You get engaged, you use your hands, able to get your head on the inside so you keep yourself aware of where the ball is going, and at the perfect moment, shed the block and make the tackle.
Looks like Fish lost a yard on that play. Oh, no, he did gain the first down. He did gain the first down. My apologies. Jackson back to pass, looking to launch. Not able to find anybody, and looks like Page and company. Oh, no, that was Rayte. I'm sorry.
Quarterback keeper.
Zach Rayte on the tackle.
Stopped by Smith.
Looks like Sadia was involved as well, both getting home to send some pressure.
Jackson back to pass, good protection. Lobs it up the middle. Able to find Emmons. No, that's not Emmons, I'm sorry. That's Samuel Levine.
Does look like we have some laundry down on the field here.
Levine on the carry, stopped by Akuga.
We'll see if this play stands here. But once again, it's the South's receivers, once they get the ball in their hand, not going down on first contact, continuing to keep the feet moving and driving down the field and pick up those extra yards. You just see it time and time again. And this time it's Levine who once again gets the ball and is able to bounce off those first 2 tacklers, stay on his feet and keep moving. Picks up an extra 20 yards before finally being brought down. Does look like whatever flag there was may have been picked up, as the play will stand.
And Jackson showing some great poise. He had a lot of good time back there, and just waiting for the receiver to find that seam right behind 2 defensive backs. And now he's going to tuck and run. And Rayte and Sadia.
Not a ton of yards on the scramble, but again, you see that football smarts in the backfield, that there's nothing open. Don't force the ball downfield. Just keep it down. Scramble for the couple of yards that you can get and play it conservatively rather than trying to force something that could result in a turnover.
Jackson definitely on a keeper this time. Gobbled up at the line of scrimmage. Nickel and Stevens, great open field tackle.
Jackson stopped by Stevens.
And we've talked a lot about Jackson's arm, but he's also a very effective runner coming into this game with 250 yards on the ground as well as 4 touchdowns. Added 2 more on so far in this game. So it is a very underrated part of his game, his ability to also do it on the ground versus in the air. South looking to the sideline to get the play call.
Wonder if they'll get this play off before the quarter ends. And they do. Jackson back to pass. Slings it over. Oh, intended for Joshua Tripp.
Ball intended for Tripp.
You do hear some extra whistles here, perhaps some more flags down. There is one. They're going to call roughing the passer against the Tomahawks. Not sure if we can get a look at it here, but that's another one of those plays that it's so hard to see. You get a stop on 3rd down, And then due to a penalty, you're going to cough up some extra yards and a first down for a South offense that doesn't need a window to keep things moving.
Not at all. They don't need any help.
See if we can get another look at it here.
Oh,
We do see it right there on the right side. It's just a late, blatant hit. That's something that you got to have the discipline to back off of once you see the ball is out of his hands. They're going to throw that flag. It is a point of emphasis. So just being smart in situations like that.
And I want to remind folks, if you're out there and you want to shout out, whether you're a Merrimack Tomahawks fan, whether you're a Nashua South Purple Panthers fan, head over to our Facebook page at Merrimack TV and leave a comment under the post about tonight's game, who your favorite player might be, how you're watching, where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. Just leave a comment. We'll give you a shout out. I actually have one from Roseanne Hawthorne. Shout out to our grandson, Josh Ozog, and the Tomahawks tonight from Mimi and Papa. You'll be watching from Maine. Go Tomahawks. So thank you so much, Roseanne. It was great to see her last week. She was down in the stands, actually. Some of the family from Maine was down to watch Josh in person, and they got to witness a few huge plays from Josh from that game. He had quite the game, especially in that second half. So
that he did.
Make a difference in defeating cancer.
So thank you, Mimi and Papa. We'd love to hear from anyone else.
Even
Just
if you're
leave
a
us
South
comment.
fan, we invite you, even if you're a South fan, let us know who you are rooting for. We love to have the shout outs from both teams.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
First and goal. That was Levine.
And as we saw the ball being placed just inside the 10-yard line as a result of that penalty
Levine on the carries.
at the end of the first quarter.
Smith. Second and 5, Nashua.
Second and goal from the 5. Levine in the backfield. Again with the carry. And he gets gobbled in the backfield by Sadia.
Levine on the carry, stopped by
Sadia showing some signs of life from this Tomahawks defense, able to get off 2 blocks to get into the backfield and make that tackle on Levine. As the Tomahawks defense lives to see another play.
Absolutely.
Deep in their own territory.
That'll go on the stat sheet as a TFL. So loss of 5 on that play. Be sweet to see the Tomahawks come up with a turnover. Up.
Looks like we have a timeout here from the Tomahawks sideline. Did not like the look they were seeing, decided to burn their first.
Well, it's actually a perfect time because I actually got a few more shout outs. Amy Muir watching from Missouri. She says, go Nashua South and Cody Jackson. Thank you so much, Amy. And we got Mary Pellrine saying, watching, feels weird not being in the sidelines with camera. So thank you, Mary, as well. She always snapping some good photos from the sideline there, but sounds like she's not down there tonight. Just getting that shout out from Merrimack TV. So thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mary.
World famous nachos, hot cold beverages.
Here's a little bit from the Merrimack Marching Band. There's RJ Beck and Brendan McWalter directing them. We'll be seeing them at halftime, so stick around for halftime. That show's always fantastic. As we'll see what they've got dialed up here after the timeout.
Third and goal for the Purple Panthers on the 10-yard line. Jackson out of the gun, looking to pass. Intended for Tripp. Like how he just lobbed that ball up there for Tripp, being such a tall individual.
And that's such a trust in your receivers as well. You develop that connection to know where you need to put the ball for your receivers to go up and get it just out of the reach that time. But having that ability makes those type of plays so much more effective.
Jackson scrambling to his right. Able to connect with Fish.
But the Tomahawks keep him out of the end zone, and that was 4th down, so it is going to be a turnover. Great defense there by Stephen Doyle to just get him out of bounds, use the boundary as his friend in that situation, and get a much-needed stop for this Tomahawks defense. Now their offense taking over rather deep in their own territory.
Hemmed in, probably starting from the 2 or 3 yard line, and just got to wonder. Oh, actually, they're starting from the.
Looks like about the 4.
About the 4. Wonder what they're going to call to start this drive.
Typically would see a quick rushing play here, try to give yourself a little bit more breathing room.
Quarterback keeper, try to find a hole. Sahil not able to get much in terms of yards. Nathan Case on the tackle.
Majower on the keeper, stopped by Case.
Looks like he was able to get back to the line of scrimmage.
From about the 4 yard line.
Now you're probably going to see some sort of screen pass or quick throw so Sahil can get the ball out of his hands.
And he does. He just ends up lobbing it out of bounds.
Looks like there was a receiver within the vicinity, so there won't be a grounding call.
That ball came out of his hand. It looked like it was fluttering. It looked almost like it was tipped, but there wasn't anybody around him. So I wonder if it just came out of his hands in an awkward fashion.
Looked very much so like a throwaway kind of ball. You're in your own end zone. If you get sacked, you're gonna see that safety. So it was just get the ball gone kind of situation.
Sling it and wing it. Sahil tucks the ball. Oh, Abe makes a nice move. Able to get out of bounds right around the 16, 17 yard line. Maybe the 20.
Looks like they are going to spot it at the 20, and that is the longest play for the Tomahawks offense and their first down so far in this game, coming at a much-needed time being so backed up in their own area.
And Sahil showing great patience.
Looked like he kind of pump faked it at the line too, thought one more time about throwing it before crossing the line and tucking it down.
Sahil again on the keeper. Not able to get very far. Brought down by Cole Patno.
Majower stopped by Patno.
And you see a lot of patience there from Patno. The play is designed to suck that outside linebacker in and get him to bite so that you can find the window on the outside. And it's that textbook discipline, read your keys, do your job, and stay home, that allows him to make a play like that and force a tackle for a loss.
2nd and 11 for the Tomahawks. Dine, the receiver, out in the flat, able to get a little bit of distance. Eventually pushed out of bounds by Tripp.
And now we're seeing this offense start to find some rhythm. You see a little bit more confidence from Sahil, hit the screen pass on the side, right where it needs to be without turning his head so quickly that it gives away. You talk about that broadcasting. If the defender sees you looking that way, they're going to start shifting.
Pass on the flat to Ozog. Nice open field tackle.
Ozog's first reception of this game doesn't pick up much, but it also does not take much to get him going. So starting to see his involvement here in this offense as well.
Not sure if that was Levesque on the tackle. It was a great tackle. Oh, and the Tomahawks draw the Purple Panthers offside.
Tomahawks are huge fans of using that hard count, especially at key moments like that. They're keeping the tempo moving, they're keeping the pace going, and then out of nowhere they hit you with that hard count. And even the most disciplined teams, you tend to get them caught off guard in situations like that.
2nd and 2. Dine in motion. Sahil back to pass. Has nobody to pass to.
Pass incomplete. Be 3rd and 2 for Merrimack.
And we'll see now how this offense responds on another third down. They're starting to get a drive put together, starting to move the ball, but now they're facing another critical third down. This time, a shorter, more manageable third down situation. I would expect a run, but would also not be surprised to see some sort of quick dialed pass.
Pass out on the flat to Dine. Dine able to weave his way up to midfield. Pickup of about 11 on that play.
And like I said, that quick pass, it's not a read that's made. It's not a decision that's being made at the moment. That is a predetermined screen pass that's going to go out to him, so it gets the ball out of his hands a lot faster, allows the blockers to get downfield, and make it an effective pickup.
For the first time tonight, the Tomahawks are in the Purple Panthers territory. Sahil on the keeper. Oh, and just gobbled up.
Going the wrong way, trying to get on the edge from the South defenders, but just going backwards, unable to find anything. And his helmet does come off, so unless the Tomahawks use a timeout, Sahil will have to come out of the game for one play.
Goncalves is the initial tackler on that play. Great penetration by the South D line. Looks like Egan's going to come in under center. Tomahawks line up again with trips right. Egan back to pass. Keeps it. And is met at the line of scrimmage.
And a very interesting play call there for the Tomahawks. You have Egan in at quarterback because Sahil has to step out due to the helmet rule. I believe that it was not a designed pass, it was a draw, but it did look like Egan was looking at something, thought about it for a second, does have some experience playing quarterback in the past, so interesting play call to put the ball in his hands to potentially even maybe throw the ball rather than just throwing a wildcat.
That would have been something to see Shea launch one. Sahil tucks the ball and runs, gets back to midfield. Well short of where he needs to be. And it'll bring up 4th and long for the Tomahawks. Looks like they're going to bring out the punting unit.
And another drive for the Tomahawks stalling out. This time, they were able to string some plays together, able to move the ball about 50 yards down the field. But then at crucial points, it once again stalls out.
Great punt. And the Tomahawks down the ball well inside the 20.
Ball kicked down about 17 yards. It would be turned back over to Nashua for first.
So Nashua will start from their 17.
One of the deeper starts for the South offense, but as we've seen in this game, that it doesn't entirely matter that much where they start because they're able to move the ball so quickly and push it downfield, even in 1-2 quick plays. Just 6 minutes to go in this first half. The Tomahawks had a stop on their own doorstep last drive. Will need another big stop here defensively to get the ball back in their offense's hands to hopefully put up some points before going into the half.
Emmons, the ball carrier.
Emmons on the carry. Stopped by Ozark. The second and about 4 for Nashua.
Looks like Emmons was able to pick up about 6 yards on that play. Seen a lot of teams use a jet sweep. Line up a running back and then bring them in motion and be very effective. Pass in the backfield to Fish.
When we see that spread offense becoming so common at the high school level now, traditionally years ago was shown at the college level and see how it could be so effective, but the challenge to it is the amount of trust that you put in your quarterback. So if you have someone behind center that is smart and can make those decisions, and both of these teams here have that, it does open up that offense a lot more to be able to do a little bit more out of that spread set.
Caden Akawuga was, again, one of those names. I hope I'm not getting it too bad. Oh, Jackson on the keeper.
Jackson,
Able
the
to shed a
keeper, stopped
few
by
tackles there.
Sadia.
Again, keeping the play alive, not going down on first contact. But a lot of Tomahawks able to respond on that play and force a much-needed stop for this Tomahawks defense.
Looks like the Purple Panthers are going to punt for the first time tonight.
We talked earlier about Coach Kip Jackson's connections to South, but there are a couple other people on that Tomahawk sideline that have some relationships with South as well, including defensive coordinator Brandon Lilly, a once player for Nashua South and Coach Knight, and turned coach, and now came over with Coach Jackson when he came to Merrimack as the head coach. So the other coach as well being Coach Belander, defensive assistant. But you see that kind of South history throughout the coaching staff. So for Coach Brandon Lilly, the defensive coordinator, this is a team, a coaching staff, a mentality that he's very, very familiar with. And you wonder if that comes into play as they prepare for the upcoming week.
You know, you look at overall, fundamentals, but you really have to tailor make your game based on the talent that you have, and so that has to add a little bit of uncertainty, if you will.
And you wonder too, in 10 years that the Coach Jackson regime has been in Merrimack, how much the game has evolved and how much is different in the South program versus when they were there.
Rete on the carry.
And off to Rete, stopped by Patno.
Picked up 3 on that play, bring up 2nd and 7 for the Tomahawks. Sahil out to Josh Ozog, able to get about 4 or 5, be just shy of the first down marker.
Another 3rd and short situation. We saw that screen pass before, but now they're on the short side of the field. Now they're up against that hash mark, making that kind of screen play a little bit more difficult to execute. We'll see if they run it to the other side or if they decide to run the ball.
Oh, they do, and Rete just gets gobbled up and the ball comes out.
Looks like Rete never fully had it on the handoff, was kind of bobbling it off the exchange with Sahil.
And the Purple Panthers recovered the ball.
And that's now 2 turnovers that the South defense has forced. Again, this looks like the previous play with Ozog before the fumble. But on the fumble, it was just a bobbled exchange, a simple miscue, if you will. And that's something that needs to be cleaned up, something that needs to be done effectively, because it's such an avoidable mistake offensively.
Jackson out of the gun. Good protection. But breaks down. Now he's getting chased by Rete. Oh, and he gets slung out of bounds just before he tried to release the ball. And looks like they're going to mark him down.
Looks like they will credit the sack. It appeared to be a fumble rather than an incomplete forward pass because his arm wasn't coming in a forward motion. The ball did come out, but the ref is going to mark it that he stepped out of bounds prior to the ball coming out of his hands.
That's what it looked like. Good call, Rob.
Thank you.
Tomahawks get a much-needed stop.
And you're seeing this defense catch up now and start to be a little bit more effective. And looking back now, the scoreboard reflects a 21-point deficit. However, 2 of those coming from big plays.
Pass over the middle. That was a great grab by Levine. Looked like he one-handed that.
Was a very, very nice catch there by Levine. Knowing that the hit is coming, knowing that the defender is there, but still able to use the one hand, pull the pass in, and brace for the contact, holding on to the ball. A very well done athletic play there by Levine.
Picked up a chunk of yards, 3rd and about 6. Jackson broken up, almost picked off.
And that is the other Sadia brother, JoJo, playing that linebacker position.
Oh.
able to get a jump on it.
Boy, I wish we bet he wants that play back.
Sometimes in those moments, though, it's so hard to react, and the natural brain wants to tell you to just swat the ball down, get the play over with. We've seen a couple of those tips go in the favor of South. So although the interception could have resulted in a further position for the Tomahawks rather than a punt, it's still a safer play there.
Oh, Doyle bobbled that one, able to get back on it. Oh, my goodness. That could have been very costly as we approach 2 minutes left in the first half.
The first and 10 Merrimack from the 30-out.
And now as we've gotten into the second quarter, just a couple minutes left in this first half, we saw the 2 big plays go for touchdowns, back-to-back plays for the South offense, right? And then the one put-together drive that have gone for the scores. But since then, the second quarter, we've been scoreless as both teams' defenses start to have that showdown. And that is what we expected, but the Tomahawks defense kind of started off very sluggish.
Slow, yes.
And so now you're seeing the result of that as they're able to play ball with this South offense, but giving up so much in the beginning has put them in a tough spot.
I was almost thinking that the Tomahawk defense would almost be breaking down even more as the game progressed, as with the amount of snaps. Well, maybe not necessarily the amount of snaps, but just, you know, having that confidence be a factor of giving up 2 touchdowns on a handful of plays.
Carry, stopped by Hamill.
And that speaks a testament to their ability to shake it off and move on to the next play and have a short memory, as well as the coaching to reassure your team, to tell them to keep their heads up and move on, because again, there is still so much football that is left to be played. You see that's a difference between good and great football teams, is their ability to respond and their ability to not get down on themselves when giving up plays like that.
Looks like we have a timeout on the field. Nashua South calling a timeout. Be interesting to see what the Tomahawks can come up with here for a 2-minute offense. Be 2nd and 8 from their 32. Oh, Egan on the reception.
And a potentially dangerous pass there going in the favor of the Tomahawks. The defender's there and ready. Almost gets the jump on it, but Egan is able to come down with the ball. Not able to pick up a ton of yards after the fact, but just coming down with the ball and keeping this drive alive.
Levesque almost able to pick that ball off. Sahil attempting another screen pass to Dine.
Incomplete.
He would have been gobbled up.
And those are the kind of plays that make you wonder, was it almost better that he didn't catch it, because that would have been a 3-4 yard loss with the defender right there in his face, versus not catching the ball, returns it back to the original line of scrimmage. So you never enjoy an incomplete pass, but it almost turns out for the better offensively.
Back to pass. Intended for Rete.
Ball intended for Rete.
Another risky throw there, but the Tomahawks offense in a position where they need to push the ball downfield. One of the things Coach Jackson mentioned was not wanting to be in a position where they have to force anything, where they're going to be in an uncomfortable situation, having to take those risky chances that could potentially lead to turnovers. So you're starting to see this offense show signs of being uncomfortable against this South defense.
Sahil back to pass. Looking deep, getting flushed out of the pocket. Gets bumped out of bounds by Nathan Case.
Out by Case.
Another defensive stand for South. You see this defense come back onto the field and not get rattled and continue to just keep their cool, read their keys, and play very smart, effective football and shutting down this offense.
That was Gus Smiley on the return. Had a great block.
Smiley on the return, stopped by Page.
Just shy of midfield.
First and 10 for Nashua.
South will have 78 seconds left on the clock and 2 timeouts. Watch this block. Oh, that was Emmons on the block. Wow.
Certainly enough time left on the clock for South to string together a drive, as we've seen their ability to move the ball, but the clock is certainly going to be a factor now. Both teams still have 2 timeouts left. You start to get in that position if you're the Tomahawks where you start to wonder, do you just want to use the clock as your friend versus trying to think about getting the offense back on the field?
Jackson bumps off some bodies. Looks like one of the Sadias.
Jackson on the carry, stopped
that
by
was Nathan.
Post of
Able to get his grab his leg and not let him get much forward after picking up about 3 yards.
That's one of those you just hold on and don't let go until you hear a whistle.
7, Nashua.
Nashua not playing with any sense of urgency. Handoff up the middle. That was Levine again.
Levine on the carry, stopped by Sadia.
And with a 20.1-point lead, certainly content going into the half.
And I believe they get the ball to start the second half.
I believe they do as well.
Jackson pass. Out to Tripp. Able to muscle his way for 11.
And they are going to stop the clock here.
Tripp on the carry. Stopped by Sadia, just short of.
Sorry, he picked up 9 on that play.
Timeout by South as they're starting to approach a manageable field goal territory if that's the route they choose to go, but still plenty of time to take 1 or 2 more shots towards the end zone. They say the average time for a play is about 8 seconds, and so they have enough time to get at least 2 more plays out. If they're longer, drawn-out average plays, they could also throw a couple quick shots towards the sidelines. So certainly still some options available as they're creeping into the Tomahawks territory.
Incomplete pass stops the clock. A completion with some decent yardage. They still have a timeout to burn. Sideline's going to be their friend. So they've got to definitely have a few options.
And they still have the ability, because of the timeout, to throw the ball across the middle. In those 2-minute drill situations, you always want to try to push it to the sideline. But in an instance like this where their passing game has been effective across the middle and you have the timeout, you would expect to see a shot at some point.
Jackson back. Up the middle. And they lateral it. Oh, my goodness. A little trickery.
Hickory dickory, we have some trickery.
Oh, my goodness. And Fish is the recipient of that lateral and scampers in for a touchdown.
Touchdown by Fish.
Yeah,
what a well-executed play there.
I was going to say,
it's
it
certainly
has to be
something that's
they
dangerous.
Definitely have played. They've drawn that up. Look at that. Tripp was the receiver.
Now, I know this isn't a hockey game, but does Tripp get a credit on the stat sheet for an assist? Or
Well, he does get the reception. He does get the reception in the yards. For where the ball would turn over would be where, where Fish would pick up the running yards for that, right? Interesting. Great play. Well executed by the. Oh, and he hits the upright, and it still goes in. Well executed play by the Purple Panthers. That was that was drawn up. So at some point in time they had to practice that because Tripp showed no hesitation, was very poised, knew exactly where Fish was, turned and just lobbed the ball right. It was perfectly executed.
And it is something, I believe it was the Kansas City Chiefs that ran it earlier this season in the NFL. So it was certainly something that they saw online or in a game that they said, how can we kind of tie this into our own game? We'll see another look at it here.
I mean, see how it was perfectly drawn up, and you see it was Fish was running that route almost lazily and half speed, and Tripp was open right in the middle and just cuts right by him and opens it up, and everybody thinks that Tripp's going to turn around and try to run up the middle of the field, and there you go, and had a perfect lane.
And it's going to be one of those plays that the South players are going to be putting on their highlight reels, and they're going to be talking about it.
For sure. Might even make MUR tonight or something. Egan on the return. Content with getting out of bounds about their 35-yard line. A couple of ticks left on the clock before the half ends.
We'll see here if the Tomahawks decide to take a shot. Given the field position, it's going to have to be a Hail Mary kind of play or some sort of trickery similar to what South was running, but not enough time to string anything together. They only have time for one play, and it does look like they are just going to drop a knee and take it into the half.
Very reminiscent of last week.
Certainly been a lopsided first half. The defense of the Tomahawks has shown some life, has shown the ability to stop this South offense. But with the big plays that they've given up, with the scores that South has been able to put up early, South very much so in control of this game through the first half. Tomahawks offense going to have some discussions here at the break to figure out what they need to do to get the ball moving, because what's going on right now is not working. Only 2 first downs or 3 first downs, I believe, so far in this game. And
no, I think there were 3 because they had 2 first downs on that one drive, and they picked up another one later, and that's been it for offense.
That's been pretty much it. Only one drive that has resulted entering enemy territory.
Yes.
It's been a very slow game for the Tomahawks offense, so it's something that they're going to need to reevaluate and figure out what they can put together to get some sort of motion against this South defense that has been stonewalling them so far in this first half.
And you wonder if the injury has some impact on the O-line with South's ability to penetrate and pressure. You've seen Sahil, not necessarily running for his life, but he's been pushed out of the pocket. He hasn't been really comfortable. You've seen him on some of the run plays where he's had the option to do something, throw the ball, hold the ball, and you've seen that patience and that maturity, but he hasn't. When he's dropped back and it's purely a pass, he just hasn't seemed very confident and had enough time to be really able to put something together.
And it is an offensive line that has historically been very effective in giving Sahil time in the pocket. And so you're right. You wonder if that injury with Vitri being out of this game, how much of an effect that is taking, that you bring in a new offensive lineman that may not have as many reps with the ones, may not have that same chemistry with the center and tackle to his left and right. And although it is to no fault of his own, it's just a hard situation to be put into, to be thrown into, coming in week 7 to have to kind of pick up that role against a very, very strong defensive front from South. It does look like the Merrimack Tomahawks marching band is taking the field, and as always, we will stop talking for a couple of minutes here to let you as viewers enjoy the band's performance, which is always so enjoyable. Justin, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, guys. Like you said, here come the Merrimack Tomahawks marching band, directed by R.J. Beck and Brendan McWalter. So they always put on a good show. So we're going to let you sit back, relax, and enjoy this, and we'll be back at you after the performance. And another fantastic performance by the Merrimack Marching Band. I want to just mention that we have Community Media Day coming up on October 20th. So happy early Community Media Day to all those who celebrate, which is hopefully anyone watching this broadcast. One of the things we'll be doing to celebrate this occasion is a special presentation on Tuesday evening, October 22nd, in the Memorial Room here at Town Hall. That's 6 Babusick Lake Road. Media Services Coordinator Nicholas Lavallee and Media Assistant Grace LeMay will be talking about community storytelling as journalism. They did this presentation for our peers recently at the New Hampshire Coalition for Community Media Summit in Manchester, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So if you're interested, that will be 7 p.m. in the Memorial Room on Tuesday, October 22nd. We'd love to see you. And speaking of community media, shout out once again to Pete Johnson and our friends at Nashua ETV for carrying this broadcast to our neighbors just to the south. Welcome to Purple Panthers fans. We're happy to have you. And if you'd like to shout out someone during this broadcast, head over to our Facebook page at Merrimack TV and leave a comment under the post about tonight's game. And if you are enjoying the game, you can always check out more MHS sports action by downloading the Merrimack TV app. Merrimack TV is a free download from your device's app store. Download Merrimack TV on your iPhone, Android, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire device. Watch live varsity sports, concerts, meetings, events, and other on-demand content. You're watching Merrimack TV, your community, your voice. And with just a few minutes here, I'm actually going to send it back to the gentleman in the studio with some score updates and some other stuff as we head into the second half. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Justin. So a lot of notable games going on this weekend, a lot of playoff implications. So we tried to get as many updates as we could. So right now, Exeter is home to hosting Memorial, and they're up 13-0 with 8 minutes left in the half. Alverin is home hosting Concord, and they're tied 7-7 right now with about 10 minutes left in the first half. And Pinkerton is up 14-0 hosting Central with about 9 minutes left. And then a couple other games. Division II games. Trinity is up 14-6 over Pelham. That's a big game, Rob. With about 8 minutes left in the half. Plymouth is up 14-0 over Souhegan. Souhegan was having a great season. And then Winnicott has their one out-of-state game this season, playing Bangor, up 26-14 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. So a lot of games on hand. We've got a few games queued up tomorrow night that are going to have, again, playoff implications depending on how this game goes out. We've got Keene against Goffs. Keene is hosting Goffstown. Bedford's on the road playing Portsmouth Oyster River. And then Bishop Girton is away. They are on the road playing Dover, and that should be a great game as well.
Absolutely, and the Wyndham-Salem game as well tomorrow afternoon.
I forgot. Yeah, thank you for grabbing that one. I missed that one.
Going to be another big kind of playoff game. And as a reminder for those joining us who may not be familiar, there are 13 teams that make the playoffs in Division I football, and the seeding is a bit interesting based upon points and such. And so as it stands, the Tomahawks do hold that 13th seed, but they are holding on very, very tightly to it as they're hoping to stay there with teams like Keene and Dover and Goffstown pretty close on their tails. Nashua South is tied with Bedford currently for that number 2 seed. So they are sitting pretty comfortably atop the playoff looks as we have just a couple weeks left in this season.
Yeah, those bottom teams, fighting for that last playoff spot. You've got the Tomahawks currently with 24 points, Keene with 22 points, Dover with 20 points. Goffstown not that far out at 14. Anything could happen depending on how these last 3 games play out for both these teams. Of course, Goffstown playing against Keene tomorrow, so that's a big game to pay attention to.
And what's interesting, too, you see the kind of tiers of the points coming down the leaderboard, but then from the 12 to 13 seed, there is a bit of that drop-off, right? Bishop Girton currently sitting at 38 points, and then Merrimack is currently at the 13th seed with 24 points. So with where things are, that 12 seed seems to be almost out of reach for
locked
any
in.
other team below them. So it really is that 13th seed that all of these teams are going to be fighting for, trying to get that last spot, trying to inch into the playoffs. So very interesting kind of down the stretch run for these couple of teams here as they try to fill in that last spot. Now, of course, anything could happen with for some of the teams such as Bishop Girton. They still play tomorrow, so they still have 3 games left. Others with 2.5 left to play. But a lot of football left in the season, but we're starting to see that playoff picture come together. And on top of the leaderboard, you see Exeter, Bedford South, and Londonderry kind of duking it out for who's going to have that first round bye. Only the first 3 seeds get that first round bye. So you're starting to see that happening around at the top as well, to see who's going to be the top 3 that get a week off versus the remainder. But everyone else in the middle of the pack seems to be pretty comfortable overall. Not a lot of some shifting and seeding, of course, but
Absolutely, as you get closer to it, right?
But not a ton of major drop-offs, and that is why games such as this, even for South, are very important in terms of where they will fall in the playoff seeding, or if you're the Tomahawks, to even inch into that playoff contention. So both teams certainly needing a win to help their playoff case in different ways, but a whole second half of football left to play here. Tomahawks trail by 28 points. Wouldn't say it's out of reach yet based off what the Tomahawks were able to put together last week, but gonna need some points and some defensive stops if you are the Tomahawks. And if you're South, just keeping your foot on the gas and keep things moving.
Caden Dine to kick off. Puts this one into the turf. Oh, and a nice return. That was Colin Konchanek.
There is a flag down about 10 yards back from where he went out of bounds. Likely going to see a holding call or a block in the back call against South, usually when you see a flag in that area. So we'll wait to see the officials call.
Carry back, stop by Grady.
It is going to be a hold against South, so that will back them up 10 yards from the spot. We'll see if we can get a look at the hold here. First, we see the little squib kick there, putting the ball on the ground, making it a little bit slick, a little bit more difficult to pick up. But as he comes around the edge, you do see the hold there from number 44, it looks like is who they were calling it on. As that defender starts to turn their shoulders, you gotta let go, or the officials are gonna call it every time. So pretty clear-cut call there for the officials. So the Panthers backed up a little bit from their return, now starting.
For winning the 50-50 raffle tonight.
Inside handoff. Levine, the ball carrier.
That drive starting at the 33 or so.
Looks like about a loss of a yard on that play.
Doyle.
And you wonder what the Panthers are going to do. They're going to grind this one down, just use the clock as their friend, or are they going to continue to air things out and continue doing what they were doing? You got to expect them to pass on this play. Oh, a nice missed redirect. Keeper Jackson still on his feet. Picks up 14 on that play.
And you see some sloppy tackling from the Tomahawks there. The fundamentals of tackling, you learn even back in the Pop Warner days, that when you're little, you got to break down, keep them in front of you, and wrap up. And arm tackle almost is never going to work, especially against someone like Cody Jackson. So you see him make a couple of guys miss before finally being brought down.
Great play fake, took half the line to the right. And he does it again. Hit by Sadia.
And it's again, you see that read option being so effective in this play here. He has the ability to hand it off, but he's reading what that defensive end is going to do. They leave him unblocked intentionally. And in that instance, he bites down on the running back, leaving that wide open lane for Jackson to pull the ball and then run to pick up a big yardage. That one going for about 4 yards. But it's all that decision making made by Jackson in the moment.
Jackson, quick pass across the middle to Emmons. able to carve out another 7 or 8 yards on that play.
And this looks like it was a wide snap leading to a broken play that Jackson was still able to turn into a 12 to 14 yard gain.
The first down again, Nashua.
Again, credit to Jackson for not getting frazzled in a moment like that, where a lot of times you'd see quarterbacks kind of crumble and just eat the sack or throw the ball away or try to run it for a couple of yards, but keeps his cool even though he misses what looks to be the intended handoff and complete the pass.
Oh, and he's still able to come up with the ball and on his feet, still moving. Levesque looked like he was going to lose the ball coming across the middle. Had 2 bobbles, but great concentration.
Takes a couple of steps while bobbling it, keeping his eye on the ball, focusing on the catch while staying on his feet, and then again refusing to go down on first contact. For the Tomahawks, someone like Stephen Doyle is such an effective tackler. So to see his ability to escape in a situation like that is just very well done ball carrying.
Purple Panthers in the Tomahawks red zone again. And we're going to have a timeout.
South may have been trying to catch the Tomahawks off guard, but unable to do so with any sort of hard count or anything like that. They'll burn their first timeout of this first half.
Well, the Purple Panthers come out and continue just being able to churn the ball, chunk plays. I mean, some redirection, some misdirection. Jackson is just so effective. I mean, the way that they're calling these plays, and he's able to come out and fake the handoff and draw half of the defensive team in that same direction, and then still take the ball in the other direction and find those lanes. It's very impressive seeing what he's able to do, and he's a junior.
Yes.
Let's not forget he's a junior.
This is a very, very young South team. You have Levine, Tripp, Levesque, Fish. They are all juniors or sophomores, as well as Jackson. So a very bright future for this South program as well in the next couple of years as they're seeing this talent start to come together.
And then we have a pitch to Levesque. And he's brought down just shy of the goal line. Looks like they'll mark him just outside of the 1 yard line.
And this is an interesting play call here as well from South because they run that kind of reverse motion. They bring him across, but then send him back the other way on a pitch. That's something that in normal circumstances, if you're up like this, perhaps you kind of save that in the bag for a later date. You don't want to show that. So this is telling us that South's not letting up. They are keeping their foot on the gas and still using the full scope of their offense.
Jackson hands off to Levesque again, I believe.
It was Levesque on the handoff. Tomahawks able to swallow it up. Couple more stops that they need to make to keep South out of the end zone once again.
Bring up second and goal from the 1. Jackson has 2 backs. Hand off to Levesque again, and he's able to find a hole and make it into the end zone.
And he walks into the end zone untouched. Gets the handoff there. Ozog comes crashing down, but he's not there in time to be able to make the play as Levesque goes in untouched. And another first drive touchdown here in the second half as the Tomahawks defense starts the second half similar to how they did the first, a bit sluggish. As the South Purple Panthers able to tack on more to their lead.
Boys on for the extra point. And the kick is good, not by a lot, but it was effective enough.
Kick is good.
And now I believe the running clock rule does go into effect at this point. Unless the rules have changed to my knowledge, I believe it is a 35-point score.
It is.
That does result in the running clock. So the clock will continue to run despite normal stoppage. The only exceptions to that, of course, being injuries and timeouts. Also, if the score goes back below a 35-point lead, the clock will return to normal rules and normal stoppages.
Well, while we wait for the play to resume here, we got Deborah Smith. She says, shout out to my grandson Colby and all the Tomahawks. She says, let's score out there. You can do this. A little football emoji and a little smiley emoji with a few hearts around it. So thank you, Deborah Smith. See if we can dial that up at some point for the Tomahawks here as the Nashua South Purple Panthers get ready to kick it off here. And I want to remind you, if you want to shout out, head over to the Merrimack TV Facebook page and leave a comment under the post about tonight's game, and we'll get at you at some point before the end of this one. We'd love to hear from you, whether you're a Merrimack Tomahawks fan or a Nashua South Purple Panthers fan. Let us know. We'll get at you.
The first and 10 Merrimack.
And that was Dine on the return for the Tomahawks, a very effective playmaker on a typical game night for the Tomahawks.
First and 10, ball on the 34-yard line. Mujauer back to pass. Keeps it. Looking to weave his way through a pile. Gets gobbled up.
Quarterback keeper stopped by a sea of white.
Looks like he picked up
Couple yard
5 on
gain.
that play.
2nd and 7 for Merrimack.
3, excuse me. Looked like he gained some more ground on that one. And the clock definitely not in the favor of the Tomahawks. So he'll back to pass. Able to get it out to Ozog. Ozog able to shed a couple of tackles.
And that is one thing that the Purple Panthers have done very effectively in this game. The big weapon for the Tomahawks, the key guy that you would look at when watching film leading up would be Ozog, especially coming off the 3-touchdown game he had last week. So the ability that they have had to kind of shut him down and make him ineffective in this game. Now, the other weapons that Sahil has to turn to, Egan and Dine and Doyle, are still certainly effective options, but taking away that kind of #1 guy does make it far more difficult.
Pass intended for Doyle, incomplete.
Doyle was the intended receiver. A little bit short. Bring up 4th and short, 4th and a long 2 for the Tomahawks. Hill back to pass. And it's complete over the middle. And we got a late flag.
Pass Ozark.
You see this again here. It's just those quick dialed up short passes, get over the line to gain for the first down and make the pass. Ozark able to come down with it and pick up the first down. Waiting to see here what the call is.
Face mask.
Signal was face mask, but it didn't seem to indicate a direction.
He didn't. I guess it's going against the Purple Panthers. Against South gets called.
Penalty against Nashua, moves it up to the 41-yard. It'll be first.
Second time the Tomahawks are in enemy territory. DP Trantonio, the ball carrier.
And that's an interesting face mask penalty as well. That is a rule that has since been changed at the collegiate and professional level, but still in effect in the high school level, that there's a difference between touching the face mask versus grabbing the face mask. Grabbing, of course, being a 15-yard penalty, but in this instance, and you see the signal that he shows the face mask signal first, and then the flat hand indicating it's kind of a double signal there that it's 5 yards, but also indicating that he touched it rather than grabbing it.
Oh, and that ball just comes out of Egan's hands.
Intended Egan, incomplete.
Looked like Egan
First
had a
and 10 Merrimack.
shot at bringing that ball in, and then there was some contact just after the ball got to him.
A well-defended play as well,
Cabrera.
not giving Egan any room to make a play or get any yards to gain, and ultimately resulting in the incomplete pass.
That was Diego Cabrera on the defensive stop there. So he'll back to pass out in the flat. Connects with Doyle, and then we have a late flag. Doyle comes up a little ginger.
Ball caught
Another
by
interesting
Doyle
call
with a
here.
flag on the play.
Not sure I saw what it was during the play, but we'll wait to see the signal. It's going to be a pass interference call against Nashua South.
And Doyle's coming off. He's limping. Looks like he might have got a cleat in the ankle or something along those lines.
We'll see another look at it here. Not sure if we're going to be able to see the penalty
Oh,
itself.
yes.
He does
Yep.
jump it a bit early, yes. Easy call there. It's hard as the defender to time that up, but he is there a bit too early, applying the contact before the ball is in his hands, resulting in the pass interference penalty.
That's going to move the ball just outside of the Purple Panthers' red zone. Tomahawks definitely the furthest
Penalty against Nashua, moves the ball up.
into Nashua South's territory. Oh, and the pitch to Dine. He's gobbled up in the backfield. That was Raymond Carew.
The nine.
Great penetration. We've called his name a couple times already tonight.
Has been very dominant off of the edge.
Second and 14. Sahil looking for someone to pass to. Ends up dumping
Ball
it out of
intended
bounds.
for
Had some good protection, which started to
Correct.
break down. Nice job on the
Third and 14.
Purple Panthers secondary. Bring up 3rd and 14.
This is 4 down territory here, you would imagine. So not a situation where they need to bite off the entire first down in one play, but get yourself as close as possible.
Oh,
That's going to be a jump by South. It looked like Raymond Carew just got an early start there and was over the line.
Looks like offside, so Nashua going to
Trying to time the snap count just right, but he goes just a bit too early. We'll see it again here.
21-yard line.
Oh, excuse me, it was not Carew.
First and about
I
11.
think that was
for Merrimack.
Levine on the end, possibly. It was one of them.
Sorry, 3rd and 9 Merrimack.
Does make it a bit more of a manageable 3rd down situation now for the Tomahawks.
Nashua bringing 4, bringing 3. Oh, and it's intercepted. Ball was tipped at the line and picked off by Galvez.
And that's another one of those right place, right time kind of situations that the ball gets tipped directly into his hands. The deflection goes up, falls perfectly into his hands,
Ball
able
was
to come down with the
intended for
interception
Antonio.
and force another turnover.
Picked off
That looked
by-
like Nathan Case got his
Goncalves.
hand on the ball and able to pop that up, and Goncalves was just right there in the right
Paper
spot at the
for
right
Nashua.
time, and the Tomahawks turned the ball over as we end the 3rd quarter. Tomahawks down 35-0 to Nashua South.
And I want to talk again about the defense here because they're forcing the Tomahawks offense to make mistakes that they haven't been making in previous games. Sahil coming into this game through his first 6, only 2 interceptions across 6 games, and now 2 here in this game alone. So they're forcing those kind of uncomfortable situations and forcing the Tomahawks offense to make mistakes that which is usually the cleaner side of their game is their offense and their ability to move the ball. So we talked about their effectiveness defensively coming into this, but really, really letting it shine here and putting on a show defensively of just giving nothing for this Tomahawks offense, only crossing the 50 twice so far in this game. And again, this is a South defense that gives up an average of 10 points per game, which is incredibly impressive defensively in today's game to only give up.
With the teams that they played earlier this season already.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to what we talked about earlier about, Sahil not being very comfortable. Oh, nice play to trip on the outside. Again, Jackson able to use that play fake effectively. Almost thought he would tuck it and run.
And it's his ability to sell on the options, right? Because it's not necessarily a play fake. He's still making reads, he's still making decisions, but it's his ability to ride and glide and leave it there as long as possible before making a decision to pull and throw.
Fish on the sweep.
Fish on the carry. Stop by
And I
Egan.
do want to say we got Sarah Beth Dillon
down.
Atherton. She says, go south. Joshua Tripp, number 11, is my nephew. So thank you, Auntie Sarah. And we also got Lindsay Burns. She says, great game, Cody Jackson, and a heart emoji. So thank you, Lindsay, very much. You want to shout out, head over to the Merrimack TV Facebook page and leave a comment under the post about tonight's game.
South able to pick up a first down. Jackson keeps it. Looks like Frankie on the tackle. Able to get him before he
Jackson, keeper.
able to get more than
Stop
a yard
it,
on that
Frankie.
play. Looks like we're going to have a sub at quarterback.
It does look like Jackson's night is done now. They want to protect their star quarterback. Don't want to risk any injuries or anything like that.
So we got Harrison Joshi, junior quarterback. Another junior quarterback with a keeper here. Met by Ozog and Sadia.
Joshi has gotten some playing time
Joshi
earlier in this
carry, stop by
season
Ozark.
in these late game situations as they take Jackson out of the game. He's seen
Third
some
body
time
for
in
Nashua.
2 games, completing a couple of passes. It looks like completing 3 passes on 4 attempts for 22 yards. So no stranger to getting some playing time here on Friday nights.
Looking to sling it. Downfield. Oh, great breakup.
Ball intended for boys.
That was
Interrupted
Akawuga.
by Akuga.
some great defense there by the Tomahawks. Just a hair underthrown. If that ball is an inch further, that it's a perfectly thrown ball. But leaves the window open just enough for the defense to be able to swat it down and force a 4th down.
Tomahawks will get an opportunity to be on the offensive side of the ball. So we just get under 8 minutes left in the 4th. Almost able to get the block. Short punt.
Ozog may have gotten a hand on it. Wonder if we could take another look at it. He was very close there, and it did result in a shorter punt.
Ball be turned over to Merrimack on the 46-yard line. Be 1st and 10 Merrimack.
We will get another look at it here as Ozog's able to get through.
Looks
it's hard to
very
see. It's hard to
close.
tell.
Very
but
close.
The ball does fall very, very short. So either a sky shot kind of punt or Ozog was able to get a hand on it. A couple of highlights earlier in this game of this South defense, just playing lockdown defense all night. And those sacks and that pressure has been the story of this game.
Thanks for covering me on that one, Rob. Pulling up the wrong replay here. I was trying to get one more look at that kick.
Timeout Nashua.
And maybe we will here just to see if there was a hand on that ball. It's really hard to tell.
Are we able to do kind of a slow-mo replay situation?
Oh, look at you. Oh,
It does look like he gets
got
a hand
a little
on
bit
it.
of a hand on it.
Excellent work by Justin in the control room, per usual.
That was beautiful, Justin. That
Still,
was
still hard
pretty
to tell.
sweet, dude.
I'm really making up for that miscue on my replay here.
Looks like the Tomahawks initially had a change at quarterback, and looks like they're going to bring in sophomore Maverick Torres.
Looks like a handful of changes offensively and defensively as well. You always love to see moments like this for some of the younger guys to get some reps, to get some playing time on a Friday night, and get that experience and get that exposure, because their time will certainly come. And to be able to have that kind of experience already. Another timeout here by South. And we see Coach Knight not happy on the sideline.
Oh, he is not. Looks like we had late personnel changes going on the defensive side of the ball, and he's, oh boy, thought he was going to lose the headset there for a moment.
Yeah, not happy with some of these younger guys. Again, most of them are very inexperienced, don't have a lot of playing time, so there's the excitement of being able to get out there, which tends to cause some confusion and some mistakes from time to time. But
all right, Torres out of the gun. Pitches to Gorman. Gabe able to get about 9 on that play before he's brought down.
And it's always fun for us as viewers as well to kind of get a sneak preview of what the future of these teams will look like, especially when you see them playing against a division rival like South, right?
Absolutely.
These are the guys of the future. These are the players that are going to be the starters in years to come, next year, the year after. So to kind of get a little bit of a peek of what they'll match up looking like in terms of their athletes in the future.
Torres out of the gun again, looking to pass. Slings the ball across the middle. And unfortunately, I don't have a number 18 on my roster.
Gendron on the carry, stopped by Berry. Makes for a Merrimack.
How odd is that?
I believe that was Sean Gendron,
Look at you go.
the junior.
Gendron in motion. Torres back to pass, airing it out, going deep.
Falls incomplete there.
Well
But
intended
on
for
the same
Ogawa.
topic of what I'm saying, also always cool to see them
Okawa,
take shots
yeah.
like that, be
Selected
empowered
by-
to try to make plays like that.
Like
You know,
Devin.
it's not, hey, go in and it, as they call it, garbage time, just run the ball a couple times.
Ball
and then
management and all that, yes.
Let's just get out of here. They're
Right.
letting them play. They're letting them sling it. They're letting them show what they can do and get some real game reps of what things will be like, which is always very nice to see. And it's always a credit to the coaches as well to give their players the ability to do that.
2nd and 10 for the Tomahawks. Oh, nice play. Gorman.
On the counter.
Looks like he picked up about 7 or 8 on that play.
Gorman on the carry, stopped by
We see the
I
Tomahawk.
keep sending you guys over on
Tommy
the
Hawk.
fake out replay here.
Tom A. Hawk,
Oh, yes.
the pride and joy.
Third and 2. Torres back to pass. Slings it out in the flat.
And they're going to say it touched the ground before Gendron was able to get underneath it. A close
Intended
close
for
call,
Gendron,
but
incomplete.
unable to come down with it. The Tomahawk now with pom-poms in his hands, getting in on some of the cheers.
Nice.
Poor Tomahawk needs to get a jersey or something. It's cold out there. They gotta cover him up.
That is some good
All right,
quality
let's hear it from
content
Merrimack. Cheer
here
up here. Keep
under
that
the
crowd
lights,
going.
the Friday Night Lights with Tom A. Hawk. Is it Tom
Thank
A. Hawk?
you.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Tom, I believe it's hyphenated
I
actually.
don't want to
Tom
try
hyphen
with
A
the band
hyphen
down there
Hawk.
either, so
Torres able to break some
Thank you,
tackles. And hold on to the ball, but the ball gets ripped out. I think he was going to be ruled down before that.
Yeah, they're going to say that his forward progress was stopped, so he didn't go
Torres
to the
on there.
ground necessarily, but the
Carry,
whistle blew due
stop
to
by
the
McDevitt.
stop in forward progress.
And before we get too far past Tomahawk, I know Masty gave us the official name a few games back, actually, and I have missed her shout out for this game. She said, "Let's go," with a blue and a white heart emoji. So thank you, Masty. Want to maybe run that by us again one more time? Tomahawk with hyphens, or is there just like a period in there? You want to let us know? We'd love to have the official call on it. As get another timeout here.
Looks like the Tomahawk's going to burn a timeout.
And a thank you to Masty as well, one of our consistent
Consistent.
viewers here on Merrimack TV. Always appreciate the support.
A
for
Merrimack TV super fan.
Merrimack TV, and just a supportive teacher in the building as well. Quick shout out for Masty, but a very, very supportive teacher in the classroom, out of the classroom, even in things like this, watching from home and cheering on the Tomahawks.
Tomahawks turned the ball over on downs. Joshy in the shotgun. A little motion there. Handoff. Valancourt. Cooper Valancourt. I don't think he got back to the line of scrimmage.
Valancourt of the carry.
Looks like they'll
Stop
mark
by
him
Magoo.
just behind, maybe a couple of inches.
Bring up 2nd and 10. Josh again out the gun. Got a few wide receivers split out. Drops back to pass. That was Perrin. Perrin's going back against the grain, getting pushed back. Now he's trying to turn the corner. Gets wrapped up by McCord.
Another look at that one again, trying to get the edge, trying to
Norman
get
carry,
outside,
stop by Charette.
able to pick up a couple of yards.
About 5 out. Gain 3rd and 5. Nashua.
Inside handoff. Oh, nice play. I think that was Page on that.
Some nice block shedding as well, getting off.
Oh, and we got a hurt Purple Panther. That was a nice tackle by Page.
McDevitt on the catch. Stop by Martin.
It's always sad to see some injuries like that late in the game. You never want to see a player go down. Hopefully it is nothing serious. Take another look at that last play here as he goes down.
Oh, and it looks like he got rolled over.
Yeah,
on.
he got rolled over on a little bit.
That was Ryan Nouri.
Well, with 2 minutes and 21 seconds to go in this game, it is pretty safe to say that the Nashua South Purple Panthers have this one pretty much locked up. A commanding victory. Lots of quick, high-scoring plays at the beginning. Those 2 back-to-back touchdowns for the South offense got their momentum going early, allowed them to kind of get in their groove and get in their rhythm as their offense and defense just go back and forth, trading shots and forcing turnovers, which they do so effectively on defense, and making it so difficult. The Tomahawks defense did respond for a while during that second quarter, able to put together some stoppages, but in the end, it is the deficit that they were in from the beginning that just became too great for them to overcome.
It's hard to bounce back when you give up touchdowns on your opponent's first 3 drives right out of the gate. And again, like you mentioned, Rob, the first 2 drives, it was one play, boom, touchdown. And so, and then that 3rd drive that the Purple Panthers had, they had to march down the field. The Tomahawks were looking at points where they could have made a stop, and then the Purple Panthers just turned up the heat, and most of that scoring was done early on. So a big hill to climb right from the onset. Torres on the pitch, out to Gorman. Gabe able to get some good yards before he's gobbled up, and he's still on his feet. And the refs whistle the play dead.
We'll see a couple more plays here before the clock
Carry
expires.
just shy of a first down. 2nd and 1 for Merrimack.
A lot of things to take away here for both teams. Again, for the Tomahawks, playoff hopes are not gone yet. They likely will need to win both of their last 2 remaining games next week on the road against BG on Saturday morning. And then the week after that, their final regular season game at home against North. Both of those games being much needed wins, must-have wins, as we see other scores fall into place of where they will be playoff seeding-wise. And for South, they're building a case for themselves to get that first-round bye, and you know, a lot of the talks in terms of the contenders, right? The powerhouses, the eyes have been on the Bedfords and the Pinkertons, and the South really making a case for them, especially with these back-to-back dominant victories that they've had, and are showing, hey, we're a force to be reckoned with this season, and so very, very exciting weeks to come for South as they finish up another commanding victory. Final score now as the clock does expire, 35-0. Nashua South defeats the Tomahawks in Merrimack. Tomahawks will go back to the drawing board, have a lot to talk about, a lot of film to watch.
They've got a few things that they can take to, you know, when they go back in and look at some of the things that worked well. Again, you know, I was expecting them to capitalize on their performance against Wyndham last week. And it was, again, the tale of two halves. And I'm very surprised that they weren't able to be able to bring some of that momentum in. Hats off to the Purple Panthers. Nashua South, their defense kept Sahil on his toes, and you know, really made him uncomfortable in the pocket. And again, we don't know if that injury to Vitry, how much that impacted the game. We know, obviously, we can see from the surface level that it had some significance. But you know, there's a lot of football left in the season. The Tomahawks are going to be on the road next week against Nashua North, and then wrap up the season with BG at home. Nashua South, they've got Bedford next week. They're going to be at Bedford. That's a big game. They wrap up their season at home against Goffstown. So a lot of things still to shake out in terms of who's going to be at the top of the heap for the playoff in the playoff picture, and who's going to settle into that 13th spot. Again, we talked about earlier, there's a lot of games this weekend that have playoff implications, and we'll see how the Tomahawks shake out.
Absolutely, not a favorable ending to this one for the Tomahawks, but still a couple of weeks to look forward to, and look forward eventually, potentially, to the playoffs as well. But as always, we do want to thank you for joining us here on Merrimack TV, supporting these student athletes. Final for Merrimack, 35, Nashua South, Merrimack 0.
All right, thank you so much, guys. I want to remind folks, Tuesday coming up is girls varsity soccer versus Spalding at 4 p.m. Next Friday, we will not have a game as the Tomahawks are away, but the following Friday, November 1st, as you guys have said, varsity football. I have it as Bishop Girton at 6:30 kickoff, so we'll be looking forward to that one with you guys. I want to thank Grace LeMay down at the field. I heard her fingers are getting pretty chilly on camera down there, so thank you to Grace. Andy and Rob, thank you guys so much for calling the game. And also, once more, thank you to Pete Johnson and our friends at Nashua ETV for broadcasting the game over there in Nashua for us. And of course, thank you for watching. This is Merrimack TV, your community, your voice.